Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Neil Jones. I'm a non-exec director of Tremor International. I don't know how many people know about Tremor and what it does, but we're described as a leading video advertising business. We're currently focused in what we describe as a very large, quick-growing, subscription-based video and over-the-top media services, driven by big change in current provision of content, such as the likes of Netflix and Amazon Prime, etc., as you see. Joining me today is Tal Mor, who's the group's Chief Technology Officer, and he'll be providing an overview of the core technology and explaining how we engage with what is a very fast-moving digital advertising universe. In short, what Tremor does, it deploys a suite of advertising technologies on behalf of our clients to help engage users across mobile, tablet, PC, and more recently, connected TVs. And if any of you have got teenage children, you'll know all about all of that, as I do. The business is structured in three divisions. We have Tremor Video, which focuses on video and branding, Rhythm One, which is the media division, and Taptica, our performance marketing business. 2019 has been quite a year for the business. Taptica merged with Rhythm One back in April. And now the enlarged business engages over 600 advertisers in 70 countries and generated over $20 million of adjusted EBITDA in the first half of this year. In addition, since the merge of the two businesses, the group's identified over $20 million of annualized savings, which we'll see the full effect of through the remaining of this part of year, of the remaining of 2019 and into 2020. Central to our strategy as we move forward is how we capitalise on the high-growth video advertising market. If you look at the US alone, that's video advertising market's grown from $36 billion in 2019 to $58 billion as forecast by 2023. And we're right at the front of that drive as we go forward. So without any more ado, I will pass over to Tal, and he will tell you how we do it and how the technology works in the background, which is really the key to unlocking the potential of this business and to understand how it exactly makes its money.
All right, thanks, Neil. So I'm Tal, Chief Technology Officer at Tremor International. I will share with you today some overview about the ad tech industry in general, just that we understand the mechanics behind it and how this thing is operating and making its money, what are the challenges there, what is the sophistication behind the Tremor technology stack. We'll talk about the main pillars behind the company's product offering, and I'll try and entertain you with some of the industry's most urgent challenges and how we face them and how we tackle them along the way. There'll be a few demos throughout the presentation. It's mostly a behind-the-scenes product. The advertising technology industry is like that. I did prepare a few visuals to show. So let's just to make sure we're all aligned in regards to what type of tech we're employing here. There's the programmatic versus traditional advertising ecosystem. Let's say, as an advertiser of this amazing 2018 game, Clash Royale, I want to advertise my game. And as a traditional advertiser, I will just post a billboard in buses, TV spot, or on anywhere I can to reach the audience that I want. Mass advertising, very inefficient, very expensive, and this is not the way advertising is being done today. So we are doing programmatic advertising, which means that the claim for fame for Tremor International is making sure that we hit the right audience for the right advertiser. In this example, the advertiser will want to show this ad to someone who wants to play games, to gamers. How do we capture them? Where do we find them? What price do we put for that? That's all that we have behind the scenes. So that's a programmatic advertising versus your traditional advertising. And this is where we start getting deep. A general understanding of the industry is needed. That's as deep as we'll go in regards to the industry itself. But these are the main pillars that you can see how the industry is working. This is your end user visiting a site. that we want to show an ad to, a publisher that wants to monetize its real estate as high as it can go. And then there's the advertiser on the other end. We need to get this viewer to that advertiser and the right viewer to the right advertiser. That's the challenge. And this is where we step into place. Our first asset is what's called a DSP, a demand-side platform. Everything that's got to do with advertisers is called demand. They demand the real estate from the website. This piece of technology, the original Tremor technology, is all focused around advertisers. What it tries to do is to filter out and pinpoint exact users that want to see my ad. It will try and put automobile enthusiastic people to auto ads, gamers to game ads, etc. The second piece of technology represents the other side, represents the publishers. It's an SSP, a supply-side platform, everything that's got to do with the publishers, with media, websites, apps, where the ad is actually being monetized. That's called supply. They supply the demand that the advertisers are bringing into the market. This piece of technology is all about monetizing for the publisher, the highest price for the right user. They want to make sure that high-quality brands advertise on their sites. BBC would only like to see high-quality brands on their site, and the lower-level websites or apps will see some less quality of advertisers. This is how it goes. It's a matchmaking business. And right in the middle lies an exchange. So an exchange is the power multiplier when it comes to the market, because every demand side can directly hook with every supply side, but there are numerous of these, and there are numerous of these in the market. An exchange comes into place where you connect all of them together at scale. So we see like currently about 2.5 million views every second in our exchange, for example. This is a major power multiplier for the DSP and SSP alike, because it allows publishers to reach a lot of more demand other than the one that Tremor can provide. And it allows advertisers to reach a lot of audiences that they couldn't reach by tapping only to the Tremor supply side. So we do leverage all three platforms. These are our three pillars of business. And the way money is being made in this area is that the advertiser is setting a price for his campaign. Let's take it as £10,000 for a campaign, and it sets his goals to reach certain audiences. We'll go into further depth going into the presentation. And the DSP, SSP, and Exchange are trying to deliver this audience at the lowest price possible, keeping a margin. Likewise, for the publisher, there's a floor price that it will set. I'm willing to sell my inventory for £3 per 1,000 impressions, for £10 per 1,000 impressions. This is how it goes. And we'll try and get a price way above that. And there are margins in between. This is how this industry is making its money, and this is how advertisers are happy. They're meeting their budget and getting their advertising goals. And publishers are happy because they're selling their inventory and are not left blank. The only fear for an advertiser is not finding the audience, and the only fear for publishing is not selling its inventory at a high price. Let's see an example of an ad. We're Tremor Video. As the name suggests, we mostly do video. This is what we take pride in. This is what we do. Video is the best way to present a brand with a sophisticated message. It has the quality of sound and motion that really triggers people into action. It is very lucrative. It is very engaging. But there is a problem there. Let's see an example of a client of ours, Under Armour, an American sports apparel company that created this ad.
You can make it if you try.
So such a creative creation costs a lot of money. They create the video, they get professional actors, setting up studio, and this is being run again and again and being reused and exploited as far as they can over TV, mobile, desktops, again and again. It's the same ad. Creating variations of it is very hard. It's expensive. Tremor is trying to assist here by developing another layer that we can put on top of this video, and I'll show you in a sec. Let's say that Under Armour would like to cater two different audiences, men and women. They have a collection for men and a collection for women. They want to target the same ad to two different audiences, but with a twist.
You can make it if you try. You can make it.
All right. So what you can see here, the music will stop in a sec, is that after the ad is done, an overlay is being presented. That's not part of the Under Armour offering. This is something that Tremor is doing. We're manipulating the video, we're putting layers on top of it. But the magic behind the scenes is understanding who's the viewer. If it's a male or a female, if it's a kid, is it someone who likes sports? Is it someone of the right age? This is at the heart of our technology. So not only do we know that, and we'll get into the details of how we do that in a sec, but we can also cater it differently. This has turned out to be super effective, not only for Tremor. Let's take, for example, a pretty known, the presidential campaign in the US in 2016, for example. Hillary's campaign, they created 66,000 different videos in order to cater their audience. Different opinions, different demographics to make sure that they hit the right audience. Trump's campaign went even further and created 6 million variations. He won. We all know that this campaign was mostly won on social media. It was mostly won using ads. And the various variations of a video is critical to make sure that each and every one of us is created as an individual rather than a group. This is the way we do it. We detect the audience and we cater differently. But it gets even more complicated as we go further. Marketing is becoming very sophisticated over the years. Let's take, for example, Land Rover. As Land Rover marketeer, as the advertiser there, I want to target people who are usually men in the age of 35 to 55 in the UK. That's the type of requirement we used to get, and we used to try and find these people in all the stream of views that we see across the day. And it gets more complicated every year. They're now asking for more specific demands. I want it to be seen on mobile. I don't want it to be seen on a BMW site. I want it to be spread nicely along the day, all my ads. I want it mostly at night. I don't want people to skip my ad. I want them to see it for at least 80% of the times. So they're getting very, very sophisticated, and the tools behind the tech needs to address that. But it's not only that. It gets even more sophisticated. They now say, hey, I want not only to show it to men, I want to show it to someone who actually wants to buy a car. And you, Tremor, go figure out if he wants to buy a car. And not only that, I want someone who watched Top Gear in the last 2 weeks. This is the magic that Tremor knows how to do. This is where the connected TV, for example, comes into play, where we see a lot of traction in the recent year, and this is where we're headed going forward. So this challenge can be addressed using our behind-the-scenes, high-scale technology. I'll go over it pretty quickly, this small illustration just to show you how we find those users. So first, the technology ingests about 2.5 million user views every second. That's most of the people in the US that are currently browsing the web or watching a video over an app, playing a game or whatever. Whenever you guys are entering a web page, a request is being sent to us to show you guys an ad. So we get all this massive audience And we need, in real time, in under 100 milliseconds, to pinpoint the exact users that we're interested in. They want to buy a car, they watch Top Gear for the last 2 weeks, there are pricing limitations, geographic limitations, etc., about 1,000 or so parameters that we evaluate in real time at high scale. And once we find these users, this market is all about open auction. We need to bid in order to win. We place a bid. Let it be $1 or let it be 12. This is what we need to bid. We have to win if we find this user, but we don't want to win too high because we'll lose. So this is where sophistication, algorithm, and optimization comes into place. You can imagine a self-learning system that tries to bid in real time and learns all the time. You see this optimization cycle. But not only that is the challenge that the industry is throwing at us, and why this industry is so interesting and hard to penetrate. When a campaign is launched, it's usually being launched at least a month in advance. So when Land Rover wants to sell something, they sign a contract with Tremor about 30 days, 10 to 30 days before the campaign is launched. And one of the commitments out there is that the advertiser would like us to project how many people will want to buy a Land Rover next month. How many people will surf in automobile websites? How many people will be male in the age of 35 to 55? All of that needs to be projected into the future. That's also part of the channel that we're facing. So we run a lot of experiments. That's also being done automatically. So at the heart of the Tremor engine, you'll find a very sophisticated machine learning and neural network algorithms in order to accomplish that. And what they produce is what's called an availability projection. They will say in 30 days, you will probably find 200,000 people a day that matches all of these criteria that you've given me. Men, 35 to 55, want to buy a car, watch Top Gear for the last 2 weeks. That's a projection. That's pretty hard to accomplish. And I'll show you a few graphs of our experiments and how they go. This is an example of one of our campaigns that we've run throughout the year. The goal was to hit 80% completion. This means that 80% of the people watching the ad see it through the end, from start to end. Now, as you know, most of you are pressing the skip button the minute you see it. So achieving 80% is pretty challenging. The way to do it is to get specific audience. There are incentivized users, mostly gamers. In order to get their virtual goods, they will see the ad from start to end. But we need to target the right audience also. It's not, I don't want just a gamer. I need this specific guy who may buy a car. So finding that is challenging. We let our models run for a few days. You can see it's hard to see, but this is around 30 to 40% completion. And once the machine learning algorithms have learned enough, they've kick-started, and you can see everything spikes up immediately. This cannot be done by humans. This is something that only a machine can learn and execute. Following that example, you can see this is a price graph for the same example beforehand. You can see that once this algorithm was activated, you can see the price immediately skyrocketed because we found a lot of good users, but they were expensive. Again, the machine was learning throughout another week the buying habits and the pricing, and it was trying various pricing algorithms, and at a specific day was turned on and pricing went down. Again, just by setting the price manually will not work because the price is being set for each and every bid that we make, for each and every user. Some may be 10, some may be 5. On average, we're at about 5 there. The video optimization, the video advertising is pretty unique. And this is where Tremor is excelling. We're not a generic advertising company. We're trying to excel in something very specific, which is video. We're going forward very hard, tackling the connected TV world. We feel that this is our largest opportunity going forward. And our engine, I won't go into the details, is very much specific and is very much tailored toward video advertising. We know how to optimize the video size. We know how to optimize its length, its sound, the way it's being presented on different devices. It's pretty challenging to show video on over 500,000 different versions of Android, but this is what we do. It's all being automated. So video expertise is something important. Before we conclude this presentation, I'll give you a short taste of the scalability factors that we have. Just a glimpse behind the scenes of what we see. Again, this is a very behind the scenes type of engine. So there are things that are hard to show. This is like a few numbers to entertain you with what we see. We see about 200 trillion views every day. This is what we filter, and we cater 12 billion DSP or advertiser requests every day at high scale. I won't go into many details here, but what you see here, for every graph is a subsystem of Tremor. There are about 1,200 of these being properly monitored, again, by computers, because no human can handle such a scale. Let's see one example. This is the number of requests flowing into the advertiser end. We can see about 180,000 requests flowing every second. This is all being monitored automatically to make sure that if something goes wrong, things are being kept under control. So this is how you make sure that a large-scale operation is being maintained. Last thing I want to show before we conclude is a glimpse of how this thing is being operated by our ad operations. And I'll also say that this thing is being presented as a self-service type of user interface. This is how you run an advertisement campaign. There are numerous goals and setup that you can set up here. You need to know exactly what you need from the campaign. An advertiser and a publisher, they know exactly how they want to sell and how they want to buy. This is how we enable this, which countries you want to run it, at what players, which goals you want to hit, in this case, a completion rate, etc., etc., etc. What I'm trying to show you here is that it's a very lightweight type of user interface. Was launched only recently. It allows all the configuration of a very sophisticated advertisement campaign to be accessible in one page. It's all very reactive. It's all at the tip of your fingerprints, and it allows easy configuration and easy management over campaigns. Now, the other thing I wanted to show, and this will be the last, is that there's a vast reporting section that we show how campaigns are being handled by the system, but we try and make sure that we make the lives of our advertisers and our publishers pretty easy. We demonstrate only 4 key performance indicators, and we paint red whatever we want you to see. So it's not a big brainer to make sure you understand what to do, as opposed to original or traditional advertising operations where most of the work is being done with reports and huge Excels. In this case, you just press here and you see how pricing is being handled. In this case, the advertiser wanted to buy some more expensive inventory because this correlates with high quality users. And you can see that this dropped down here. So I'll just go there and immediately I will see that in this specific case, the algorithm started to buy at extremely low pricing. and this triggered this alarm, which was probably misconfigured in terms of which sites the campaign was supposed to run on. This was fixed here, and everything went back to normal. So it's a pretty easy system to operate, not a big deal. No need for any sophistication in order to make sure that campaigns are being delivered precisely. That is it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Sure.